Would you look at that? Looks like RCR finally got some damn race cars. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove Late Night Edition, post-Richmond edition. I am recording this late Saturday night. You may be watching this Sunday. Maybe you're on your way to work. It's Monday morning. Maybe you're on your way to school, back on the school bus. Class is back in session. Maybe you're sneaking your phone out on your lunch break. I see you. I respect it. Wherever you are, however you're watching this episode, I really appreciate you tuning in. We are nearing 250,000 subscribers. That is insane for me to think about. I greatly appreciate all of your support, whether you've been watching for 1 day, 1 year, 14 years. Tonight actually is the 14th anniversary of when I created this channel as a dumb middle school kid. Kinda insane to think about where this channel has gone over the years. I appreciate you tuning in. I appreciate you always watching. Let's talk Richmond. Sold out short track Saturday night. The regular season championship has been decided. The playoff picture has changed quite a bit. All of that and much more. Let's start with tonight's winner, Austin Dillon. In case you were still doubting his victory 1 year ago, tonight Austin Dillon proved that his Richmond Raceway racecraft is no fluke. People forget because the ugly finish clouds their memory. Dillon wrecking Logano, hooking Denny Hamlin. People forget that before that restart, before overtime, before that caution came out with 2 laps to go, Austin Dillon was dominating that race. Long run, Austin Dillon had passed the leaders cleanly, had a 3-second lead, was going to win that race. Unfortunately, overtime happened. Dillon wrecked his way to the win. That win did not count towards playoff eligibility. Tonight, Austin Dillon gets his redemption. Once again, long run, just faster than everyone else. Passed Ryan Blaney extremely cleanly after like a 15-lap side-by-side battle. Austin Dillon definitely learned a lesson from a year ago. Clean battle for the lead, ultimately took home the victory. Austin Dillon, this time, gets into the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. I'm not going to dwell on the format controversy. I've beat that horse to death. You know I'm not a fan of winning you're in. Do I think Austin Dillon has had a playoff caliber season? No. This was his 5th top 10 of the year. This was his first top 5 of the year. Austin Dillon has not had a good year. He was 28th in points before tonight. Is that a playoff team? No. But he won this race. He won this race straight up. And per the rule book, that means he's a playoff team this year. Job well done. You know, honestly, I think NASCAR was right to remove the playoff eligibility from last year's win. The way he got it, that crossed a line. But the fact that they came out 1 year later with that spotlight still on them, skeptical eyes on that team from start to finish, to come back a year later and whip the field again, back-to-back years, Austin Dillon and Richard Childress Racing beat your favorite driver at Richmond. That's crazy. That's super impressive. Credit to Austin Dillon. New crew chief Richard Boswell, not even the same crew chief back-to-back years. Job well done. Are they a playoff caliber team in my opinion? No, but they're in the playoffs. They got the job done. RFK Racing, your fringe playoff team, entered this race as the dark horse favorite. Priest sits on the pole. Brad Keselowski qualified, 6th? And they all fumbled. Either they didn't have the speed, or in the case of Ryan Priest's team, they messed up the strategy in stage 1 and it felt like they were playing catch up all night long. Bad restart at the start of stage 3 put them well behind. They couldn't hang with the top dogs. Austin Dillon could. Not going to talk about the playoff format tonight. We'll save that discussion for later. I just want to focus on Austin Dillon and Richard Childress Racing getting redemption. I've dogged Richard Childress quite a bit this year. Some of his antics and quotes off the track, the way he's handled some of his drivers on the track. You know, Austin Hill in the Xfinity Series, I think, has gotten RCR in some hot water. RC had that quote on Kyle Busch's radio a few weeks back. We got to get some damn race cars. We're in trouble. I've been critical of Richard Childress Racing at times this year for being out of touch, seemingly outdated, behind. Austin Dillon was not behind tonight. Controversy clouded last year's victory. No controversy this time around. And no Alex Bowman, I'm not counting Jesse Love, hold me up maybe for a couple laps, as a legitimate controversy. I went back and watched and listened to Jesse Love's onboard. Yeah, he had fresher tires, passed Alex Bowman. He's multiple laps down, passes Alex Bowman, and yeah, kind of hung out in front of him for a few laps. Didn't do Bowman any real favors, but I didn't see anything egregious, and I didn't hear anything over the radio that was incriminating. I mean, Richard Childress did come over the radio with like 5 laps to go and reminded Jesse Love that, his team car was in the lead, said we don't need a caution, did say to back it down, but that was with 5 laps to go. And at that point, I mean, Bowman was still almost 3 seconds back. That was not the difference maker. So I understood Bowman being frustrated over the radio, but to call attention to it in his post-race interview, I thought was a little tacky. Not everything rises to the level of race manipulation. Just like how in the NBA, not every whistle needs to be reviewed. I hate when NBA players constantly, something happens, they're doing this, they're doing, like, that should be like a technical foul, in my opinion. If any player does this, free throws. Boy who cried wolf. We don't need so much of that. But Austin Dillon gets the win, earned it straight up tonight. Credit to him. He's in the playoffs. That is crazy. I just can't figure out, why is he so good at Richmond? He said post-race, I'm really good at saving my tires. Okay. I mean, I guess we've seen some good runs from him at Darlington in the past. I mean, old Atlanta, did he ever have any standout performance? I mean, all of Austin Dillon's wins have been super speedways, or Charlotte that one time that was a fuel mileage race at the end. Where did Austin Dillon finish at Bristol a couple of years ago? The high tire wear race. I don't remember seeing him. Maybe he was in the picture. I don't recall. I just look at his Richmond results. He was 4th here in 2020, led 55 laps in that race. He has a couple other 6th place finishes in his career, a couple other top 10s. I mean, he has good Richmond numbers, better than he runs at most tracks, but they're not eye-popping until the last 2 years. Crazy that suddenly we have Richmond Raceway merchants in the NASCAR Cup Series. But that's Austin Dillon. Shout out to Austin Dillon. First win with his new crew chief, Richard Boswell. Richard Boswell has a flair for the dramatic. It was this time last year he won the Southern 500 with Chase Briscoe to sneak into the playoffs at the 11th hour. Wow. Big night for Richard Childress Racing, while his future Hall of Fame teammate, Kyle Busch, floundered spectacularly. Qualified 28th, had no pace in the race, made a mistake, sped on pit road early. Stop me if you've heard that one before. I know, I sound like a broken record. And then towards the end of stage 2 on a restart, this big wreck. Let's talk about this huge wreck that took out a few contenders, including Chase Elliott, impacted the regular season championship fight. But on this restart, they're going down the back straightaway. Busch with a great move around the outside, aggressive, love it. Everyone's being aggressive. Chase Briscoe makes a late move to the inside of Kyle Larson, who throws a late block and stacks up Briscoe, who gets run over by Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch turns Briscoe, triggers a huge wreck. Busch drives out of the smoke and then inexplicably drives down the banking and hooks Chase Elliott head on into the outside wall. I want to be clear. I don't think Kyle Busch hooked Chase Elliott on purpose there. I just have to be clear about that because that's been a talking point lately. A lot of right rear hooks. What was on purpose? What was incidental? This was incidental in my opinion. But it was still careless. It reeked of classic Kyle Busch frustration. I just got wrecked, wadded up, car's probably killed. I'm just gonna give up here. Like, why did he turn left and go down the banking towards the stream of traffic? What are you doing? At first, I thought maybe the car was damaged and he had no control, but no, on the very next restart, he was running comfortably in the top 10. So it wasn't damage that jerked his car down into traffic. He just kind of lost spatial awareness or something. I don't know. I'm just tired of it. Every race, every track, I think Kyle Busch could contend. He finds a way, or the team, sometimes it's the team, finds a way to throw it away. I'm tired of getting my hopes up that the dominant, the fearsome Kyle Busch is going to make a return. Until it does, I don't believe it. I'll have to see it before I start to believe it, because I'm not seeing it right now. I'm seeing so many mistakes, little details. I don't feel like Kyle Busch's heart and sometimes, frankly, his head are in it. Tonight, man, the glaring contrast between his frankly inferior teammate Austin Dillon dominating the second half of this race and Kyle Busch making numerous careless rookie-style mistakes. That divide should never be so wide. It's just disappointing to see how Kyle Busch's season has unraveled. Back to that big wreck for a moment. Chase Elliott head on into the outside wall. Huge impact. Glad to see he was okay. this was Chase Elliott's first DNF of the season, off the heels of his first outside the top 20 finish of the season. Back-to-back weeks, 26th and I think 38th last. Chase Elliott just had his 2 worst races of the season back-to-back, and that's handed the regular season championship to his teammate William Byron, who also got a piece of that big wreck tonight, but didn't have as bad of damage, was still able to run top 10, get a decent finish. William Byron has clinched the regular season points championship with 1 race remaining. That is 15 playoff points added to William Byron's total. Chase Elliott is part of a group still battling for second. That would award 10 playoff points. Third gets 8. Fourth 7, 6, 5, and so on through the top 10. So Chase Elliott still will get playoff points, will get additional bonus points on top of what he's already earned, but missed out on 5 more bonus points for winning the regular season championship. That honor goes to William Byron. Congratulations to Byron. Let's take a look at the top finishers tonight. Some other notable storylines. Alex Bowman gets the unofficial Hard Charger award, finishing second place tonight. Really strong run for Bowman, who's been so consistent over the course of this summer. Even last week at Watkins Glen, where he finished like 20th, he still earned a bunch of stage points. Every week has been productive. That has been extremely important. As now, let's take a look at the playoff bubble. With Austin Dillon winning, Bowman finds himself on the cut line. But see, that gap to Chris Buescher, Brian Preece could have been slim. Bowman's solid performance the past few weeks have given him a 60-point cushion. Alex Bowman is almost certainly safe to make the playoffs unless we get a new winner from below the cut line. Unless one of these RFK guys wins Daytona, which they've done before, could do again. Kyle Busch, I know I just criticized him, but 1 year ago, he was leading this race, the final restart. Oh no, see, I'm doing it again. I'm getting my hopes up, only to be crushed. I can't keep doing this, Kyle. The point is, anyone, virtually anyone, can win Daytona, so if someone below the cut line wins, Alex Bowman could be in trouble. Though so could Tyler Reddick, who was wrecked tonight by Daniel Suarez hitting Ty Gibbs. Felt bad for Tyler Reddick, not to change the subject here, but Reddick won a stage, had a ton of speed. We'll talk more about that in a moment. Got wrecked, totally fluky deal, not his fault. Bad finish tonight for Reddick now means he's only 29 points ahead of Bowman. So if Reddick has an issue at Daytona and Bowman leapfrogs him in the points, and then we get a new winner, like Tyler Reddick now is not quite as safe as I and many others expected, at least a few weeks ago. But there you go. That's a look at the points situation. Bowman really doesn't have to worry about Busch or anyone outpointing him. He just needs to hope we don't get another upset winner. And if we do, he needs Reddick to struggle. So great run tonight for Alex Bowman, looking at the results again, but he's still in a very precarious points position. Since I just mentioned Tyler Reddick, let me talk about 23XI real quick. Bubba Wallace and Tyler Reddick won the first 2 stages. In fact, they finished 1-2 in stage 1. The 23XI Toyotas, or at least those 2, showed up tonight. But Reddick got wrecked, like we talked about, and Bubba Wallace had a wheel fall off during one of his final green flag pit stops. Bad mistake from his pit crew that otherwise was sharp tonight and all year long has ranked among the fastest and most efficient pit crews in the NASCAR Cup Series. Frustrating for 23XI fans, I'm sure, to see their 2 drivers go from dominating this race to nowhere to be seen, unfortunately. Great results tonight for Team Penske. 3rd, 4th, 5th, Blaney, Cindric, Logano, even Josh Berry, team-aligned car finishes inside the top 10. Team Penske has been the best race team at these short, flat ovals the past few years. It's why they've won 3 straight championships. They're great at Martinsville late in the year. They're great at Phoenix, the site of the championship. So I was watching this team closely tonight because Richmond Raceway is a short, flat oval. I expected Penske to be good. Actually, I expected Penske to be great. And while 3rd, 4th, 5th, 3 top 5s sounds amazing, I still have some slight concerns here. From Bowman Gray to Martinsville to Bristol to Iowa to North Wilkesboro, Team Penske is winless on short tracks this year. That wasn't the case this time 1 year ago. I think Penske has lost, I'm not going to say a full step, because they did just score 3 top 5s. They've lost a half step at the short tracks. And I think we saw proof of that tonight. Yeah, Team Penske, 3 top 5s. That's incredible. I'm not saying they're not deep playoff threats, not championship. I'm just saying they shouldn't be considered favorites at this point because tonight they got outrun by 2 23XI Toyotas pretty much the entire race. A fluky crash and a fluky mistake on pit road are the only reasons Reddick and Bubba Wallace didn't beat them. And even at the end of this race, it was Austin Dillon in a Richard Childress Racing Chevy leaving them in the dust Alex Bowman in a Hendrick car blew by Ryan Blaney at the end. Blaney had fresher tires than Austin Dillon, same tires as Alex Bowman, and was no match for them on that final run. So while Team Penske should pat themselves on the back for 3 cars in the top 5, I mean for Cindric especially, who's been very up and down this year, that's a tremendous result. While Penske should be pleased with this result, this doesn't scream dominant to me. This doesn't scream Penske's the team to beat at Martinsville, Penske's the team to beat at Phoenix to me. This tells me that they will be in the mix, but that we shouldn't expect them to run off and hide like they've done in the past. Look, I know you Penske fans are probably bookmarking this video right now. You're going to come back in 3 months after Logano wins his 4th title, and you're going to laugh at how stupid and naive I sound. I sound like, NFL analysts who always pick the Ravens or the Bills to finally knock off the Chiefs in the AFC, and it never happens. I realize I may be walking into a trap, but I'm just telling you what I see. Penske last year, this time, had won a couple of short tracks. Looked a little better than they do right now. Tonight, they were the 3rd best team. I would say 23-11 and at least Austin Dillon's RCR car were better than they were. And that's a little surprising. Doesn't mean they aren't good, just means they're not dominant like they've been in the past. That's my takeaway. Great result. That being said, Kyle Larson, another terrible qualifying effort, yet pretty good result when it's all said and done. Finishes 6th. Daniel Suarez triggered that wreck with Ty Gibbs and Tyler Reddick. Not a great moment, but a good result for Suarez. I think this is back-to-back top 10s for Daniel Suarez, who is still looking to solidify his 2026 plans. Denny Hamlin overcame several issues on pit road, including a speeding penalty to finish 10th. Shane Van Gisbergen with a top 15. He ran top 15, at least top 20 all night long. And this is a tough oval that I think favors drivers with veteran experience. Look, SVG's not going to win an oval race anytime soon. I mean, unless it's Daytona or Talladega, I guess, but he's clearly getting a little better. The qualifying numbers have improved, and tonight, his racecraft was elite. He was running that 3rd, 4th lane. Shane Van Gisbergen, least oval experience of anyone in the field, was out there creating his own custom lane that was working for him. Good stuff from Shane Van Gisbergen. There are the top finishers tonight. We already looked at the playoff bubble, the playoff picture. We'll put this race on the Groovy Gauge in just a moment, but can I just say, that was a great race. Finally, right? I mean, every race these days, it seems, turns into a strategy race, usually fuel strategy. Who can spend the least amount of time on pit road? Who can get track position? Because once you have track position, you can go half throttle and hold the lead at most places. Like that's what most races lately seem to have become. It's getting tiresome. It's getting old. Tonight was also a strategy race, but this was a strategy race done to perfection. Fuel was never a concern. It was about tires. And shout out to Goodyear, and I guess to a lesser extent NASCAR, for continuing to push. This was, I think it was the right sides were the option soft tires from last year, but the left sides were an even softer compound than we've seen at other short tracks this year. Like Goodyear, as aggressive as they've been, created a great tire that wore out, created passing, even on equal tires. That was my gripe a couple weeks ago. On equal tires, guys couldn't pass. Tonight on equal tires, I mentioned Alex Bowman ran down Ryan Blaney for 2nd at the end of this race on equal tires. And it didn't take 100 laps for the tires to fall off. It took like 20 laps. I can wait 20 laps to see some comers and goers in action at most places. Great tire, great racing tonight. Great mix of strategy, side by side. That battle between Dillon and Blaney before the final pit stop was thrilling stuff. They were leaning on each other, but not pushing quite too far. A great race. What a refreshing night of NASCAR short track action. Richmond, the action track, is it back? It's only got one date a year. Sellout crowd, night racing. What a vibe. Tonight was a very positive vibe, and that was refreshing considering the past few races have just kind of been tedious in many ways. All right, let's put this on the Groovy Gauge. I think you know where I'm going with it. The Groovy Gauge is powered by Electric E-Bikes. Head to electricebikes.com to find a ride that suits you. I thought this was a great race. As I just said, I'm going 90% on the Groovy Gauge. Yeah, this race had it all. Tire strategy, comers and goers, a big wreck, some spectacle for those who like spectacle, a rash of restarts at the end of stage 2, short runs, 3, 4, 5 wide almost. A surprising, somewhat divisive winner, let's say. Plenty to talk about after this one. What a fun night, fun race. Happy to see Richmond Raceway. Happy to see that crowd finally get a race to truly remember. for the right reasons. I mean, I guess we do remember parts of last year's summer race, but for all the wrong reasons. This was a race to remember for pretty much all the right reasons, in my opinion. Good stuff. 90% for me. Thought it was great. Let me know if you enjoyed tonight's Cookout 400 down in the comment section below. That's going to do it from me, folks. Long night, late night. I'm going to hit the hay. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe if you're new. The more the merrier. We're closing in on 250,000 subscribers. I greatly appreciate each and every one of you. Thanks for the support, folks. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your weekend. I'll talk to you later this week. Have a couple big things planned in the coming days. Can't wait to share. Regular season finale in 1 week. Next Saturday night, Daytona. A lot to talk about between now and then. Have a great rest of your Sunday, folks.